Hello, MSOE fans, and welcome to the Raider Report, where we sit down with MSOE coaches to discuss all things Raider athletics, from game reactions to recruiting news and everything in between. The Raider Report has all the behind-the-scenes details and news you want. This week, our guest is men's basketball head coach, Kevin Hurd. And we are joined at this time by men's basketball head coach, Kevin Hurd. Coach, how are we doing today?
We're doing great. We got a nice setup here. You got a professional mic, and we're looking like we're moving on the up and up here.
I think professional's a little generous, but we're trying our best. We're trying our best. Coach, you're still a relatively fresh face around here. Describe your career path and how you got to MSOE.
I mean, career path, that sounds like a really long time. I'm not that old yet, but so just really quickly, I played at Carroll just down the road, and had I was fortunate to have a really good career there, conference championships, NCAA tournaments, all that stuff, great teammates, great coaches, and then I did a year out in North Dakota at Minot State after college, and then I came back and was at UW-Stevens Point for 5 years, just an unbelievable Division III program. That program kind of speaks for itself. And then I came back to my alma mater, Carroll, for 2 years. And while I was at Carroll, it was not a full-time thing. That's kind of part of our level, is if you kind of want to stick with the dream of being a coach, you're going to have to be in positions sometimes where it's not glamorous. I was working multiple jobs there. And, I had always looked towards, either in college or, there was a point in my career where I thought, I could get to the highest level, be in the NBA and do whatever, people would ask me to do. I felt like, video, game plan, work with players, whatever it is, those are all skills that you kind of acquire throughout your years. And I felt like I could have definitely added to a team. And it's funny, to get here to MSOE, I was working on just making a lot of connections with people at the pro level, and a lot of those opportunities and interviews and face-to-face interactions happen out at NBA Summer League out in Vegas, which is usually in July. And that was kind of the COVID year with that, or it was after COVID. So they had the bubble, and then I think it was that summer. And, I was really excited because I had, done a lot of work to set up connections with people. And I felt like, I was going to get some interviews and finally have a chance to sit down with someone. And 2 days before the flight, I got COVID. So, that kind of ruined that. But while I was sitting in my apartment, not around anybody, feeling not so great about things, my previous head coach, Dave Buchanan, my first coach at Carroll, he reached out to me and said that, Coach Miller here at MSOE was, they were going to have a brand new full-time assistant, coach spot open up here, and it was just down the road, and did the interview sick while I was in my apartment, and kind of the rest is history now. So I know we're starting out with a really long answer, probably to a short question, but that's okay.
That's all good. Hey, we're trying to fill airtime.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're trying to fill airtime.
Absolutely.
So what is the actual NBA Summer League experience like? Did you actually get to go down there prior to the whole COVID situation?
Yeah, I've been there a couple times, and it's crazy. To be honest, because there's, if you follow basketball, it's basketball heaven out there. There's people just walking around, coaches, players, and obviously you're watching the games, and it's at UNLV, so the Thomas Mack Center, where they have multiple courts in the facility, so you can kind of just walk around and see people that you normally only see on TV, right? Yeah. So it's just really cool, and to get really close and see games kind of in those intimate settings. Thomas and Mack has obviously the big arena where UNLV plays, but their side gym, which is on TV, they make that look a lot bigger than what it looks like on TV. It's actually a pretty small gym, and to watch really good players up close and personal like that, it's a really cool experience. So, and to have it in Vegas, I mean, that's a wild place to have something, but they do a really good job with it. But to be able to just see coaches, and because there's a lot of really good coaches everywhere, and there's a lot of G League coaches that are out there that are just walking around, and because they're either coaching their teams or those guys are looking for jobs too. So, to be able to converse with those guys and have conversations and just pick their brain or, just make new friends. Like it's a really cool experience.
So you're officially in your second season now. I think we've gotten enough games through this season under your belt to, call it official. What's it been like for you as this is your first stretch as a head coach? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like you've settled in yet, or is it still, working through the kinks?
Yeah, I think when you get into the coaching profession, I think all assistants want to be head coaches, right? And it's a lot different when you finally get into that position. You think that it's this, but then when you're there, it's a lot different. So you're not really prepared. So just like, with our team, which is a really young team, they're learning college basketball and I'm learning what it takes to be a head coach. And for me, it's been an awesome experience because we have really good players, good guys. And so from that perspective, I haven't dealt with a lot of problems or anything like that. They just are working really hard to get better. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to get better at my craft. So, side by side, like that's a really good fit, with a young team. And so, you're always navigating the challenges of, basketball is the longest season of any college sport. So, it's a grind. I mean, it's a marathon. And so managing that from the head position, that's always going to be a work in progress. But for me, it's been more fun than work. So I know I'm doing the right thing, and MSOE is a great spot to be. And like I said, we have, good guys, great teammates, and we're trying to, build them into great players and great men for their future lives here.
For sure. And let's talk a little bit about the team you have this season. The roster is loaded with sophomores, but I don't know about your family background. I'm the oldest sibling. So to me,
middle child. So nothing was ever my fault. Like everything was perfect. Everything was good for
right.
me.
You didn't get blamed for anything. So to me, seniority matters. So let's talk about Donovan Carter. He's your most experienced senior, coming off of a massive game yesterday, career high in points by a mile, putting up 35. Talk about what he brings to the team, just not as a player, but also to you as like an asset as a coach, because he's got the most playing experience. Is he kind of someone you lean on a little bit to communicate between players?
Yeah, I mean, Donovan he's the most steadiest person you've ever met in your life. His demeanor, you could not tell if something really bad happened to him or something really good happened to him. And, when good things happen, you'd love to see a little, emotion, or if things don't go well, you'd love to see a little emotion from him. But he is just really, straight and narrow, and he doesn't really let a whole lot of things bother him. And, to eliminate distraction when you're playing, that's a huge part of being successful. And, he does a great job with that. And, he gives us, he's been our most, consistent contributor, I would say, out of our senior class. But, we have two other guys that, bring a lot. Jess Hartman is a fifth-year senior and, very vocal guy, great teammate. And Max, Max Butine from Ripon, he gives us a lot of stuff in practice, and he's played a lot of college basketball games. So he brings experience to our team as well. And another, good teammate, good guy to have. So, those three guys, they're kind of babysitting all the young guys that we have right now. But, each of those guys brings something different to the table. And, for Donovan, he's had maybe the most success on the court from a numbers perspective. But those other guys, they're adding stuff to our team, which we need when we got a lot of young guys running around.
For sure. I think unless you've been a former collegiate athlete, or even like you understand it on the high school level to a certain extent, but I think you understand the importance of them more in college, are the locker room glue guys. Those guys are super important to like the vibe and culture of it.
Yeah, and they don't get enough pop, right? Like they don't get enough chatter, and I would say with any team, whether it's football, basketball, obviously everybody talks about the people getting minutes, but there are guys that don't play that got to get those guys ready. And our guys, we have young guys on what would be maybe considered a scout team. We have young guys everywhere. So, building each other up is a huge part of what we talk about and getting better. And so as our, scout team continues to develop, like they're only going to push those other guys. And, like any team, those scout team guys eventually become your contributors. So, that's something that we take really seriously. And our guys, have done a great job of that so far.
You said you've got young guys everywhere. I think that might be a little bit of an understatement.
Yeah.
The roster alone has 10 sophomores. You put the freshmen on top of that. It's a young team. Mm-hmm. We'll call a spade here. With all that depth on the roster and everyone kind of dense in that one class year, what is it like balancing the playing time, finding those guys? I'm assuming practices are hyper competitive with 10 guys all looking up and down the bench like, by senior year, some of us are going to have to be, getting real tick and,
right.
only the baddest survive, if you will.
Right.
So
and that's college sports, right? Performance does matter, and I would say the hardest thing for young players playing in a college program is being as consistent as you possibly can. And with younger players historically, there is a lot of inconsistency there, kind of up and down. And so we try to do our best to get those guys practicing really well and forming good habits so they can build upon each day and become consistent contributors. And so I don't think it's a stretch to say that that's kind of what we're looking for, like with our younger players. But in order to get experience, you got to go through it, right? There's no way that we can get around that. So our guys work really hard, and practices are really competitive, and there is a point where guys have to separate themselves. But that's college athletics, and our guys, I think, really do enjoy the competitiveness of practice. So if we can keep that attitude and mentality going, good things are going to happen for us.
You have the Dopirek brothers in that sophomore class. What is it like having siblings on the roster? Are they in their own universe? Are those guys, at the hip at all times? What's it it like having those two?
Yeah, no, it's there's definitely a dynamic to it. They've played with each other for obviously their whole lives in some capacity, and but they fit MSOE just like all of our other guys do. They're really high academic, really smart kids who really care about school and basketball, and all of our guys on our team are that way. But those guys do have a chemistry with each other just from playing throughout their lives. But for them, they're also young players, so being consistent and earning everything that they get, they've done a great job up to this point, and for them it's transitioning into being better leaders, and because as you contribute, they were fortunate enough to get some minutes last year that they earned, certainly, but now the next step is developing them as people and as leaders, and obviously keeping up with their consistent play.
Mason specifically has gotten off to a really hot start this year. I think when I was preparing the questions last night, I probably jinxed him a little bit because last night was his quietest night of the year.
Yep.
But other than that, he's been exploding for points pretty much every night, and he's doing so pretty efficiently. What's the next step for a player like him who's getting it done on the offensive end? Does he have to take the step on the defensive end? Is it just team success is next for him?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we just talked about it. Unfortunately, he didn't have one of his better games, and I know that he's going to come back and work really hard, and he's really hard on himself. Sometimes I wish he would be a little less hard on himself. And his brother too, and a lot of our guys. They have really high expectations for themselves, which is great. But for Mason, keeping up with the efficiency, and then the other part is. When you have success as a player, other teams are going to try and take that away. So, the ability for him to, and also us as coaches to help him, is to learn how teams are guarding him, what they're trying to do, and how do we counteract that. And, last year, as a freshman, he did a lot of really great things, and, he received a lot of honors, that he earned. But now the next step is how do we become better? How do we react to what our opponent's doing to us? How do we counter what they're doing? And, for him, he can obviously score the ball really well, so now it's getting teammates involved. How many assists can he get? Cutting down, on turnovers. It's always an adjustment to play college basketball. And so for him, being more efficient, assist to turnover wise, like that's a huge step for him. And then obviously defensively, we always want to compete and do the best we can there. So, defensively, we need 5 guys out there that are connected, that compete, that make it, tough for our opponent to score. So we can always be better defensively, right? Until the team scores 0, right, on us, you can always be better defensively. So as he adjusts, and all of our sophomores and freshmen and even our upperclassmen, every season is different. As all of our guys adjust to games this season and the college level, like there's always something to work on for sure.
For sure. So you guys are 1-4 right now. Next game is coming up against Rockford. You've got conference play underway. What do you think the key is for the team's success, and how do you kind of balance that? You have a system that you want to run. You're trying to get the guys to run it, and then you also have to realize like the players that you have and how you can like accentuate their strengths. Is that a tough balance to find, or how are you approaching it so far?
That's a great question. You got these questions typed out so nice here. But that is a tough question, and I don't know if there's a really great answer for it. But our league, the NACC, Northern Athletics Conference, it's a good league. There's a lot of different styles. Some teams, they shoot a lot of threes. Some teams are more on the inside. Some teams press, some teams don't. Like there's something new every game. So as coaches and as a team, we got to do our best to prepare for every single game. For us, each team out there, whatever level, whatever conference, every team is trying to find their identity, and we're trying to do the exact same thing. We have a style of play on offense, we have a style of play on defense. There's always minor adjustments on both sides of the ball, but for our guys, we have really smart players and really smart guys, and so we try to run a smart offense. We don't have a lot of set plays within what we do. We teach more concepts and focusing on players' skills and what they do well and what they don't do so well, and I feel like every team kind of does that in some capacity, so we're no different, but for us it's establishing what is our identity and what do we do well and what do we not do so well, and try to win games that way. So for us, for the conference season, and obviously just the rest of the season, it's being so young, it's doing the things that we want done repeatedly for a long time. Last night we played Concordia, Wisconsin, and I got to tip my hat to them. They did things that were important to their team just a little bit better than we did, and they did it a little bit longer. And they have a few more seniors that kind of took over the game towards the end, that got it done for them down the stretch. And for us, that's something that we're still searching for. And like I said, that comes with experience, and you can't get experience without going through those battles and being in those situations. And so, it's something we got to continue to work at. And, but we also want to have success, right? We're judged by wins and losses at this level. And so in order to get those wins, we really got to try and how quickly can we learn from an experience like last night. So, that's kind of our challenge. And, every team in our league presents something different, so the challenges are always going to be different every night.
For sure. If you had to describe, you kind of described the basketball identity there. If you had to describe kind of the culture, the vibe of the team, what would you say? Is it kind of like a blue-collar, get-to-work kind of guy? Do you have vocal guys? Is it a loud practice?
Yeah, it's, I just think that, this is just me personally. I was fortunate to be mentored by really good coaches, at every stop that I've been, whether I was a player or, graduate assistant coach, whatever it was. I was fortunate to work with a lot of really good people. And the thing that was always consistent is competition is healthy. And our guys love competing in practice. There are some times where I feel like practice is a little more intense than how we play in games. But that's what helps get guys better. And for us, you use the words culture or vibe. I would say for us, it's trying to be as competitive as we possibly can. And every time we step on the floor, is to be really intense about what we're doing. Off the floor, we have a lot of young guys that live together. I would say our culture or vibe is, they're pretty easygoing guys, that are, the academic piece is really important to them. So I feel like those guys share a bond that way. Our guys, study together, work on stuff together. Like that's important to them. And obviously they're hanging out, doing probably stuff that they don't want coach to know or whatever. But, I just feel really good about our team. Like we have a nucleus of young guys that spend a lot of time together. So, the culture, the vibe is pretty good. But on the floor, just extremely competitive. And that needs to be who we are moving forward as we try to get better internally, but also going against another opponent. Like you got to step up and be intense, and because every night is a challenge like we just talked about. So the more that we can do that better for longer, then we'll start to see the results that we want to see.
You were giving me a little crap for the career path question earlier. You are.
Well, I
had
to give you a long answer.
You are a young head coach, though. You replaced Coach Brian Miller. What are the advantages and disadvantages of being a younger head coach? Because I feel like, having been a college athlete so recently, it's probably really easy to relate to the players. You know, you probably can picture yourself as the freshman who's coming in and struggling and be like, oh, I remember what that was feeling like.
Hey, I still play hoops like 3 times, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like in our building. I still play hoops, so I mean, I can still do it. I don't know if I could suit up and practice, but you know, I'm not too far removed.
At the same time, do you think it's harder for players to necessarily respect your authority when you are a younger coach?
Yeah, no, I mean, Coach Miller had a lot of success here, and you know, he did a lot of tremendous things here. I mean, he basically built this program like from the ground up. You know, he told me that when he first started here, they didn't have this facility. They didn't even have a gym. They didn't have a court with a regulation 3-point line, I don't think. And actually, I don't even know if it was regulation length up and down. So, you know, he really built this program from the ground up, and he had a lot of success. And when he brought me here, the thing that I wanted to do was, and I think it's important for, you know, any program or any business that has had, you know, people that have been here for a long time and have been really successful, is I just wanted to come in with a new eye and, you know, give, you know, ideas, give feedback, you know, to try and help us improve. And he, you know, he was really great in allowing me to do that. And you know, he gave me a lot of responsibilities. And, you know, now as a head coach, you know, I would say the easiest answer is something you've already mentioned, is, you know, just being a little bit more fresh out of college and playing. You do relate to players easier. But, you know, your question about, you know, the authority piece, or, you know, providing clear guidelines, or, you know, do players, you know, respect what I have to say and stuff like that. You know, I just think the number one thing that I've learned from other coaches that I've worked with is honesty is always the best policy. Like, you're going to be upfront with your guys, and you know, because that's what they want. You know, they're young men. Like, you should treat them as such. You know, and you know, I think our guys do a great job of having conversations like that, and we talk about the things that we want to accomplish and achieve and how we want to get there. And you know, if all of us are on the same page, pushing in that same direction, you know, I think it's really easy to get behind each other. And I want to support my players, and I want to help them, you know, not only have success on the court but off the court. And so, you know, it's a relationship building business. And you know, I just love all the guys that we have. Like, I love working with them and the things that they want to accomplish off the court. On the court, you know, I'm more so responsible maybe for the on the court stuff, but you know, my job is, you know, helping them develop into great people too. And so I take that part of my job pretty seriously. And you know, like I said, right now it's been more fun than work. So you know, it's a great group, and I love coming to work every day.
All right, Coach, I've been drilling you. Let's get into a little Raider rapid fire.
Yeah, I'm a little worried for this.
Insert air horn noise. If you don't hear an air horn noise, we're working on it. There wasn't room in the budget yet, but it's coming. We'll have an air horn next episode.
Yeah, I'm worried about this because we showed up, and I'd see all these questions here, and they're all really good. And then the bottom here, yeah, it says Raider rapid fire. And then I was just about to turn my sheet over, and you're like, no, don't do that. Like, we want to catch you on the spot. So am I allowed to turn the page over now?
Now you can turn it over.
Okay.
Now you can turn it over. I don't think you have enough time to really think about it. So
okay.
You've played a lot of basketball. What is the best basketball if you want to go pick up and shoot hoops? Is it the Revolution? Is it an Evo? Do you like the night bright, glow in the dark one?
Okay, when I in high school, it was Spalding. It was always Spalding. And then when you got to college, it was the Wilson basketballs. And when I started going to Wilson, I never went back to any other ball. Now, the ones that we use now, they're a little bit more. What's the specific part? The channels are a little bit deeper. Okay. You know, so it takes a little longer for those to get smoothed out. Like, as a shooter, like as you break in a new ball, it becomes, you know, smoother, and that gets off your hand a lot easier, which is nice. And I found with these new basketballs, that takes a little bit of time. So the previous ball that they had was my favorite one that I played with. And the color of the new ones is this really bright orange. Yeah. And the other ones were a little bit kind of more brown. So the brown version is, I got one of those in my car, and it's probably never going to leave. So, Once again, long answer to a very short question.
No, hey, you got to let us know. You're giving us the reason why.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Favorite cartoon, if you want to make it cartoon character or show, whichever one.
Oh my goodness, I haven't watched cartoons in about, I don't know, long time.
Yeah.
My favorite cartoon, wow, probably, for some reason, we're going rapid fire here. The first thing that I can remember is like Tom and Jerry when I was a kid.
Yeah.
For some reason, I remember
classic.
that.
There was never a bad Tom and Jerry.
No, for some reason that's what popped into my head just now. So if we're doing rapid fire questions, that's what I'm giving you.
Favorite athlete? It could either be now, it could be as a kid. I would say I'd like to make it more specific. Like your favorite athlete that wasn't really that good. Did you ever gravitate toward like a role player or anyone like that?
Yeah, geez, that's a really tough question.
Then we could go more generic. Say just your favorite athlete.
Growing up, I was a huge Pete Maravich fan. Like that's
Pistol Pete.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a
my middle brother Matt. He is also a Pistol Pete guy.
Yeah,
so maybe that's just a middle child.
They just had great, the Jazz logo with the music note. Like they should have never gotten rid of that. But I just, as a guard, like he was doing stuff that was, in today's age, I think would still be crazy. I had his instructional tapes growing up, and he was all about flash and stuff like that, and that's kind of the stuff that gets portrayed. But there was also a lot of fundamentals and a lot of substance to what he did, and I know he got a bad rap for scoring a lot of points, but it was entertaining, and he just had a real passion for basketball, so I enjoyed that. So yeah, I go a little old school there, but that was my guy growing up. That was my guy.
Pistol Pete.
Yeah.
Go-to pregame song.
We just had a conversation about this, but "When the Levee Breaks" by Led Zeppelin. There's a huge backstory about that. How they recorded the song at I'm missing the name of the house at Headley Grange, right? Is that what it is? My dad will probably grill me for that if I don't get that right. But there's some backstory to that song. But the beginning of that song is just, go home and listen to that, and if you don't start bobbing your head, something's wrong with you. I think.
That'll get you ready to run through the brick wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick. All right, if you're going to the movies, your go-to order: I need a snack, I need a candy, and I need a drink.
Wow. Well, I will say that we just talked before this, because I think about drinks. I don't drink a lot of soda.
Okay.
And I've never had a sip of coffee in my life. So there's kind of some trivia about me. Not one sip, like at any time.
Yeah.
So the drink is hard for me. That would be water. Snack.
Not even an icy?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
I don't know. I guess I just didn't have nice things when I was a kid. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But movie snack is for sure popcorn, 100%.
Butter?
And then, if you're going to the movies, just splurge a little bit.
You're drinking water. I'm just checking.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, you got to balance out, what you're missing
fair.
there.
That's fair.
And then candy. Wow. Like, just any candy. I would say Reese's peanut butter cups are probably the best, but I know movie theater candy is different. So I remember they had those box of it was like Crunch, but they were in
Bunch of Crunch.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's one that sticks out in my head. So I would do that.
You said you're a Reese's guy though.
Yeah.
What is the premier form of Reese's?
Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate Reese's is that's high level. That's high level.
That is.
Yeah.
That is.
Actually, for some reason, the thins taste better than like the regular.
Okay. Wow,
if we're getting particular, I didn't know if you wanted that.
Heard that answer.
Yeah.
I feel like most people say like the Easter egg or like the pumpkin.
Yeah.
Dark thins. I'll have to try those.
Dark thins is pretty good. Dark thins is pretty good.
A man of taste.
Yeah. Right.
A man of real taste.
Hey, you got to be particular about some stuff,
All right, I'm throwing you back on the grill for just a few more questions here. For people who haven't tuned in yet to see this team play, what can they expect?
I would say just on the offensive end, just playing, very unselfishly and executing what we're trying to do, sharing the ball. And then, defensively, we're going to play man-to-man defense, and I just want, a connected group, a lot of communication, just competing on that end, because that's where you win games, on the defensive end. And, so for us, I hope we'd like to get up and down a little bit, in transition. I didn't think we were great last year, so we're trying to work on improving that this year. But certainly on the offensive end, execution, unselfish play, defensively, competing every single possession to make it hard. And when guys come in off the bench, they're sharing that same, enthusiasm, communication, and we're obviously supporting each other whether we're playing on the court or whether we're off the court. So unselfishness and just playing hard. Like I hope that's what we can get moving forward.
Let's bring the fans behind the curtain here. You guys have a scrimmage against some D1 competition coming up here. Why don't you tell them a little bit about that and what that opportunity can be for you as a coach and for the players?
Yes, we'll call it an exhibition. How about that? I know you
Okay.
have scrimmage here.
Right.
There'll be people there, and
Okay,
I'm pretty sure
Rock
it's on ESPN Plus. So
Really? Okay.
For the people who have that, we'll plug ESPN for them there. Not that they need the help, but for us, that was just an opportunity. The coaches from Green Bay, reached out, and I know those games are kind of harder and harder to come by. But for us, our guys love that stuff. Like it's higher level, competition, and we go on the road and play in a bigger environment than what we normally play in. And so, our guys love doing that. And for us, it's just another opportunity to try and get better. And as coaches, nothing changes for us. It's an exhibition game. Like we're trying to go out, we're trying to execute, do what we're supposed to do. It's just usually in a little bigger place with a lot more people. But that's kind of right before Christmas, so that's a great chance for us to get something done before the holiday to hopefully set ourselves up for some success moving forward when we get into the bulk of our conference season. I know we have 2 non-conference games right after Christmas, but that exhibition game against Green Bay is December 21st, so we'll play that game and check it out and evaluate it and go into Christmas, and then try to bounce back and have a lot of success after that.
So in doing my research for the podcast, I dug around, and you're 10th all time in points per game for Carroll.
10th?
10th,
Really?
10th all time in points per game
Okay.
average.
I didn't know that.
And yet
I don't know.
they don't update the record book. They do not show you. You averaged 11.6 over your career, and in
Okay.
10th they have 2 guys who averaged 11.2. So my
Okay.
question is, were you taking illegal bribes at the time? Is this like a Reggie Bush Heisman situation where they stripped you?
Maybe just like, you and I seem to have a good relationship here with the Sports Info. Maybe the Sports Info at the time didn't like me there as a player. I don't know.
Maybe
Like,
that's it.
I'm not sure. But no, I was, fortunate to have a good career there and had a lot of great teammates who, were just really good players and good people that, we still keep in touch with. But, it seems like a long time ago, but it's not. But yeah, just, I had a really good experience there, and yeah, I mean, I learned something today. I didn't
Maybe
know that.
I'll see if I can get on the horn and make
Yeah,
offense
right.
for you.
We'll see.
We'll see about that.
We'll see about that.
So how can people support Raider basketball? What can they do to help?
Yeah, good question. So, for us, like, we have, I would say that the first thing, when I think about Division III basketball is, myself included, we were just talking about my career, but, we have a lot of alums that are really, successful, that are going out in the world and doing great things. And, at MSOE, we have, the number 1 job and internship placement rate in the state of Wisconsin for all schools. And the number 1 starting salary when they graduate, so guys are getting good jobs, and also number 1 mid-career salary, which is about 8 to 10 years after you graduate. So we have a lot of, really successful alums that have gone out and done really great things. And, they've had a great experience here at MSOE. And so we want more of those guys to come back and support us. And I want to hear, these stories that these guys have. And I want to sit down and have conversations with them about their experience and how can we make our program better, because those are the guys that live through it. And I'd love to connect with as many of those people as possible. So your question is really simple in its statement, but I would say there's a big complex answer here. So the social media part, that's obviously a big part of what we do. We're on Instagram and Twitter, so we'd love to have more followers as we tweet out tweet or I guess post for Instagram. That's what it is, right? As we do some more alumni kind of networking events. We have some post-game socials coming up. We're trying to do one of those a month after a Saturday home game. So, the ability to connect our players and their families with alums, former players, and, also those guys, they're out hiring people. And I want our guys to go on and do successful things. And so to establish those connections, that's something that we want to try and do there, and just, up the support of our program. Like I said, we have a passionate alumni base, and to bring those people together. Like, that's what we're trying to do more of. So once again, I'm giving a long answer here, but follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. Come check out our schedule, come to a game, reach out to me. I try to respond to every email that I can, and we have Alumni Day coming up. That's January 27th. We had really good participation last year, and we didn't have to resuscitate anybody during those games when they're playing each other. But we're going to honor a 2018-2019 conference championship team. It's their 5-year anniversary, so we're going to do that here at Alumni Day coming up in January. But support our program. Just come to games. Alums, they can come to practice. I encourage, high school coaches, come to our practice, learn our players and see what we do. Those are all great ways to support our program, and come watch our guys work hard and, learn our players, and, all that stuff adds up. And that's what makes our levels special. And so we're trying to obviously do that here at MSOE.
Of course, and you heard it here first from the man himself, men's basketball head coach Kevin Hurd. Coach, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you. It was great. A lot of fun.
Thank you for tuning in to the Raider Report, and thank you to Coach Hurd for taking the time to talk to us. You can subscribe to Raider Athletics on YouTube at MSOE Raider Athletics. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MSOE_Raiders. And don't forget to find us on Spotify too. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, repost, share, and get the word out to all your Raider friends and family. We want you to be heard. Mention us on social media and tell us what you want to hear about. Go Raiders!